issues, get rid of them. Bring to our attention any other health concern you may have, because we do consultations Mondays to Saturdays from 12 noon to 7 p.m. Call to make an appointment. We also do mail order. The address is 3956 White Plains Road in the Bronx, between 224th and 225th Streets, or call 718-798-0773. Again, 718-798-0773.
And remember, also, when you're at Healthy Living Health Food Store, you can now purchase your vegetarian patties, your ackee, your collard, your soy, your lentil, your vegetable beef and vegetable fish, veggie fish, and so on. All of that you can purchase right there at Healthy Living Health Food Store. And bear in mind at Healthy Living that you can also purchase your vegan standard pastry right there at Healthy Living Health Food Store. Okay? And also your alkaline water you can purchase at Healthy Living Health Food Store. Okay? And do remember about our very effective weight loss program right there at Healthy Living Health Food Store. Okay? Remember our address, 3956 White Plains Road, Bronx, between 224th and 225th Streets. Our telephone number is 718-798-0773. Again, 718-798-0773. Healthy Living is where health lives.
Marcus Hilton, Certified Public Accountants, located at 4226A White Plains Road at 234th Street in the Bronx, have been serving the public for over 30 years in the areas of income tax return preparation and all other income tax services, including payroll services, accounting services, and individual tax ID number preparation. If you do not have a Social Security number and would like to file your tax return, Marcus Hilton, Certified Public Accountant, is one of the few tax services registered with the IRS to assist with a tax ID number. They are experts in the tax laws, so they will find what other tax preparers miss, maximizing your dollar return. For the self-employed or corporate people, they are also experts in those areas. Marcus Hilton, Certified Public Accountant, is located again at 4226A White Plains Road at 234th Street in the Bronx. Their telephone number is 718-554-0640. Again, that's 718-554-0640.
And remember, if you are having problems with student loans, medical bills, bankruptcies, late payments, collection accounts, tax liens, then you must give Mrs. Tracy Ann Bagaloo a call. She's one of the representatives at Financial Education Services. And Mrs. Bagaloo's number is 954-639-2404. Again, 954-639-2404. And remember the name, Mrs. Tracy Ann Bagaloo, and she's one of the representatives at Financial Education Services. Also, if you want a better experience visiting the dentist, you must visit mine. His name is Dr. Roy Street. And let me tell you, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Trust me when I tell you. That is one experience in the dentist here that you will say, okay, then this is good. Yeah, no pain, no discomfort. And he really professional, real professional, Dr. Roy Street. His location is 739 East, 230th Street between Barnes and White Plains Road. Or give him a call at 718-652-5600. 3978 again, 652-3978. And remember the name, it's Dr. Roy Street, okay?
Start your morning with our delicious breakfast. The ackee and saltfish, the salt mackerel, the cook-up saltfish, the callaloo, the corned beef.
And you know what, I'm not going to play that commercial. I'm not going to play that one, and I'm not going to play Palace. And this is a test. This is a test. I'm not playing anything with music at this time, and I'm now live on Facebook and YouTube. Hi, Miss Morgan. How you doing, my dearest? Nice to see you in the room. And okay, that's about it for now. You know, I'm not going to play anything with any kind of music whatsoever. All right, let me play this one.
Your taxes done with Professional Tax Services. Get up to $6,300 earned income credit. Get your refund in 7 days. Get free e-file services. Professional Tax Services, located at 4460 Baychester Avenue, Bronx, New York. Or call Fitzroy, your personal agent, at 914-837-9334. Professional Tax Services. Let the professionals do your taxes.
And if you're looking for a very effective immigration attorney, then you need not look any further than immigration attorney at law, Mr. Winston Tucker. He can represent you anywhere within the United States. And as an expert, he will be able to tell you what your best options are. Give immigration attorney at law, Mr. Winston Tucker, a call at 718-276-8767. Again, 718-276-8767. And when you call, if you are unable to speak with him directly, you may send him a text using the same number, 718-276-8767. And when you call, if mention the Tony Ryan Showcase, and you will receive an incentive for doing so. Same thing goes for the accounting firm of Marcus Hilton, Mrs. Tracy and Bagaloo, Dr. Roy Street. Now, I'm going to play the Chef 2 restaurant commercial, and I'm going to play a Palace commercial also. But I'm not going to do it while I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. This is really a test, you see? This is really a test. And Brother Ruler, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah, Brother Ruler, I mean, this thing here, what Facebook is going on with, not even so much YouTube, but what Facebook is going on with, you have to try and figure out a way to find out what they really want. I mean, bottom line, they're not telling us, but what is it that they really and truly want? So this is a test program. No music. No music. Information, yes. But we're not going to give them any reason to say this is copyright infringement or that is copyright infringement. Yeah? I want to play something here, but I am wondering if if this is also a problem, I don't know. I'm trying to find out where they're at, where the head is at. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it and see. It's not music, it's spoken words, but it has to do with the hazards of sugar. And see if and see, I'm supposed to be on YouTube. I don't know why you're not finding me, Miss Morgan. I'm supposed to be there. Go to Tony Ryan live stream on YouTube. Tony Ryan live stream. You're supposed to find me there. At least I think. At this time, let me acknowledge Foundation Radio Network in Florida with my friend and brother Clinton Lindsay and his wonderful wife, Mrs. Georgia Lindsay. In Georgia, we have RulerBrownNetwork.com, another friend and brother Ruler Brown. And then we have also in Georgia, Arizine Radio, and a Brethren's Culture P. Yes, man, for real. And in Brooklyn, we have 25th Century Radio with Mr. Clifton Cool Edwards. Yeah, man. And yes, we do have Unity Radio, 96.1 FM, and the Miller Radio, 92.5 FM. And let me say a pleasant good afternoon to the engineers. Unity Radio, it is Dwayne, and Miller, it is Dave. Okay. Yeah, you know. So we're doing a test program today to find out what kind of fault they're gonna come up with. You know what kind of fault they're gonna come up with. Time is now 5:53, 7 minutes before the hour of 6. And remember, after the break, at about 6:10, between 6:10 and 6:15, we will have live Immigration Trainer at Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. Okay? At 6, we go into a station break on Unity Radio and Miller Radio. But we will remain live with everyone else. Okay? Remember that this is the Tony Ryan Showcase, Monday to Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Thursdays from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Right? Now, sugar, a very, very dangerous thing. You know? It is funny, you know, and I'm going to go back a ways, and probably this is going to take me into a station break and what have you, but I'll remain live on Foundation Radio, Ruler Brown Network, Arizine Radio, 20th Century Radio. I'm going back to my kiddie days, my young days, you know, single digits. Single digit, yeah. Brown sugar was okay. And every now and again, someone would come from the country and they would bring some wet sugar. Remember that? Some wet sugar. Looked like a cake. That you could cut it. And as children, you would cut off a piece, you know, and then run go eat it, you know, man. And it had in some ginger in it too. Nice. But for the most part, we were having brown sugar and yeah, working with it. And then they came out with a lighter version of the brown sugar. Who remember that? Yeah? A lighter version of the brown sugar. It was just dark. And everyone started moving towards the lighter shade of the brown. And so it was seen then that if you want to look like you're not suffering, you really wouldn't want to buy the brown one. You want to buy the lighter shade one. How ironic. And so that was going on for a minute. And then they came out with granulated sugar. Ha! Oh, Lord. Nobody wanted anything else except granulated sugar because now, whether brown, whether light brown or dark brown, that's poor man thing now. You know, when as boys and thing, you're making, you know, especially it's summer holidays and thing, and we're making running the boat or you know, things like that. I was making some wash, as we'd call it. You know, it's brown sugar, but we will still stick to the brown sugar. Why? Because the granulated sugar costs more. And as youngsters, we don't have the extra funds, so we just work with the brown sugar, see me, and pick a little lime and, you know, get some ice and you know, whatever else we can work with. And we're good. We're good to go. Right? Mrs. Ernie, how you doing, my love, in the chat room? Yeah. Yeah, man, so, you know, after a serious game of football or cricket or, you know, in my case, well, it was all three, or badminton, played badminton, but mainly table tennis and thing. We run a little thing and we're nice, you know, drink good thing. But it was brown sugar we're using, not no granulated. No. Fortunately, there was a lime tree in the yard where I grew up. And so therefore all we needed was the sugar. And it, you know, there wasn't necessarily a fancy lighter color brown, there was a dark one we would get, and we get some ice and whatever else, maybe some bull and pear or something. Good thing going on, right? Crackers and something. But something going on. Alright? But the granulated sugar came on, man. I'm going to tell you something. Everyone started gravitating towards this granulated sugar. Granulated sugar. Not realizing just how dangerous that thing is. To this blessed day, people are still using granulated sugar. Cannot figure it out. Absolutely nothing is inside of it except poison. And you heard me right. Poison. And, of course, Miller Radio and Unity is going to go in a station break in a matter of seconds. When you all come back from the break, we will still be here. God's willing, eh? Yeah. Poison. Granulated sugar is nothing but emptiness and a poison. Not good for you. It's an addiction. Sugar in general is an addiction. You know what love sugar? You know what love sugar bad? Cancer cells. Cancer cells. One of these days I'm going to do a presentation on the foods that turns into sugar. Yeah. Because sometimes we can say, but I'm a diabetic, but I'm not using sugar, but how is it that my A1C is just up there, it's not going anywhere? Because we are sometimes consuming foods that become sugar. It's a dangerous thing. It is a dangerous. Brother Ruler Brown say, yeah man, cancer, yeah, for real. You see? It's a dangerous thing. It's not something to play with. No. No. Sugar is not something to just arbitrarily just consume. You don't care what farm it comes in and it just, no. No. But there's a gentleman. I went to do a presentation with him, and he'll give you a better idea of how dangerous sugar really is. His name is Dr. Robert H. Lustig. Yeah, Dr. Robert H. Lustig. And it is serious. Take a listen to this. I hope people don't have a problem with me presenting this one here too. I don't know about Facebook though. Anyway, look for so tingle.
I'm going to tell you tonight a story. And this story dates back about 30 years. This story has a little bit of something for everybody. It has a little bit of biochemistry, a little bit of clinical research, a little bit of public health, a little bit of politics, a little bit of racial innuendo. The only thing it's missing is sex. But, we can see what we can do about that too. By the end of the story, I hope I will have debunked the last 30 years of nutrition information in America. And I would very much appreciate it if at the end of the talk you would tell me whether or not I was successful or not. Okay? So, in order to get you in the mood, as it were, let's start with a little quiz. What do the Atkins diet and the Japanese diet have in common? Anybody? Oh, yeah, you have the answers right. Yeah. Never mind. That's right. You have the answer right there. Okay? So the Atkins diet, of course, is all fat, no carb. The Japanese diet's all carb, no fat. They both work. Right? So what do they share in common? They both eliminate the sugar fructose. Okay? So with that, think about what it means to be on a diet and what macronutrients you're eating and which ones you're not. And then we'll go from there, and I'll try to explain how this all works. So, you've all heard about the obesity epidemic. Here are the numbers. This is these are the NHANES database body mass index. Everybody knows what that is now. Histograms, marching ever rightward as time has gone on. This was what was projected for 2008 in blue. We had so far exceeded and surpassed. This is not even funny. This was from 2003. The reason I show this is not just to show that the obese are getting obeser. Of course, that's true. But in fact, the entire curve has shifted. We all weigh 25 pounds more today than we did 25 years ago, all of us. Now, it is often said that obesity is the ultimate interaction between genetics and environment. And Dr. Christian Weiss, who's sitting in the back of the room, will be talking to you next week about the genetic component, which I am also very interested in. But, having said that, our genetic pool did not change in the last 30 years, but boy, oh boy, has our environment sure changed. Okay? So tonight, we're going to talk about the environment rather than genes. Okay? Now, in order to talk about the environment, we need to talk about what is obesity. And of course, you're all familiar with the basic concept of the first law of thermodynamics, which states that the total energy inside a closed system remains constant. Now, in human terms, the standard interpretation of this law is the following. If you eat it, you better burn it, or you're going to store it. Now, who here believes that? Oh, come on, you all do. Okay? I used to believe that. I don't anymore. I think that's a mistake. I think that is the biggest mistake, and that is the phenomenon I'm going to try to debunk over the course of the next hour, because I think there's another way to state the law, okay, which is much more relevant and much more to the point. Before I get there, of course, if you believe that, these are the two problems, right? Calories in, calories out. Two behaviors, right? Gluttony and sloth. After all, you see anybody on the street, oh, he's a glutton and a sloth. That's all there is to it. You know, Tommy Thompson said it on the TV show. We just eat too damn much, right? Well, you know, if that were the case, how did the Japanese do this? Why are they doing bariatric surgery on children at Tokyo Children's Hospital today? Why are the Chinese? Why are the Koreans? Why are the Australians? I mean, you know, all these countries who've adopted our diet all suffer now from the same problem. And we're going to get even further in a minute. Okay? There's another way to state this first law. Okay? And that is, if you're going to store it, that is biochemical forces that drive energy storage, and we'll talk about what they are in a few minutes, and you expect to burn it, that is normal energy expenditure for normal quality of life. Because energy expenditure and quality of life are the same thing. Things that make your energy expenditure go up make you feel good, like ephedrine, it's off the market. Coffee for 2 hours, then you need another hit like me. Things that make your energy expenditure go down, like starvation, hypothyroidism, make you feel lousy. Okay? And how many calories you burn and how good you feel are synonymous. So if you're going to store it, that is an obligate weight gain set up by a biochemical process, and you expect to burn it, that is normal energy expenditure for normal quality of life, then you're going to have to eat it. And now all of a sudden, these two behaviors, the gluttony and the sloth, are actually secondary to a biochemical process, which is primary. And that's a different way to think about the process. And it also alleviates the obese person from being the perpetrator, but rather the victim, which is how obese people really feel. Because no one chooses to be obese. Certainly no child chooses to be obese. Oh, you say, oh yeah, sure, I know some adults who don't care. You know, Rossini, the famous composer, you know, La Gazzarella, Marriage of Figaro and all that, he retired at age 37 to a lifetime of gastronomic debauchery, okay? Maybe he chose to be obese, okay? But the kids I take care of in obesity clinic do not choose to be obese. In fact, this is the exception that proves the rule. We have an epidemic of obese 6-month-olds. Now, if you want to say that it's all about diet and exercise, then you have to explain this to me. So any hypothesis that you want to proffer that explains the obesity epidemic, you've got to explain this one too. Okay? And this is not just in America, these 6-month-old obese kids, but these are around the world now. All right? So open your minds and let's go and figure out what the real story is. Okay? Now, let's talk about calorie intake, because that's what today is about. We're going to talk about the energy intake side of the equation. Okay? Sure enough, we are all eating more now than we did 20 years ago. Teen boys are eating 275 calories more. American adult males are eating 187 calories more per day. American adult females are eating 335 calories more per day. No question. We're all eating more. Question is, why? How come? Because it's all there? You know what? It was there before. Okay? We're all eating more. There's a system in our body, which you've heard about over the last couple of weeks, called leptin. Everybody heard of leptin? Okay? It's this hormone that comes from your fat cell, tells your brain, you know what? I've had enough. I don't need to eat anymore. I'm done. And I can burn energy properly. Well, you know what? If you're eating 187 or 335 calories more today than you were 20 years ago, your leptin ain't working. Because if it were, you wouldn't be doing it, whether the food was there or not. So there's something wrong with our biochemical negative feedback system that normally controls energy balance. And we have to figure out what caused it and how to reverse it. And that's what tonight is about. But nonetheless, there are 275 calories we have to account for. So where are they? Are they in the fat? No, they're not in the fat. 5 grams, 45 calories out of the 275, nothing. In fact, it's all in the carbohydrate. 57 grams, 228 calories. We're all eating more carbohydrate. Now, you all know back in 1982, the American Heart Association, the American Medical Association, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture admonished us to reduce our total fat consumption from 40 to 30%. Everybody remember that? Okay? That's how Entenmann's fat-free cakes came into being. Remember that? Okay? So what happened? We did it. We've done it. 40% down to 30%. And look what's happened to the obesity, metabolic syndrome, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, cardiovascular disease, stroke, prevalence, all jacked way up as our total fat consumption as a percent has gone down. It ain't the fat, people. It ain't the fat. So what is it? Well, it's the carbohydrate. Specifically, which carbohydrate? Well, beverage intake, right? 41% increase in soft drinks, 35% increase in fruit drinks, fruit aids, whatever you want to call them. Okay? Just remember, down here, 1 can of soda a day is 150 calories. Multiply that by 365 days a year, and then divide that by the magic number of 3,500 calories per pound. If you eat or drink 3,500 calories more than you burn, you will gain 1 pound of fat. Okay? That's the first law of thermodynamics. No argument there. That's worth 15.5 pounds of fat per year. 1 soda a day is 15.5 pounds per year. Now, you've all heard that before. That's not news to you. The question is, how come we don't respond? How come leptin doesn't work? How come we can't stay energy stable? That's what we're going to get to. So, I call this slide very specifically the Coca-Cola conspiracy. Anybody here work for Coke? Pepsi? Okay, good. All right, so this over here, 1915, the first standardized bottle of Coca-Cola out of Atlanta. Anybody remember this bottle? Sure, a lot of you do, right? I remember this bottle because my grandfather in Brooklyn took me on Saturday afternoon down to the local soda shop on Avenue M and Ocean Avenue, and every Saturday afternoon I had one of these. I remember it very well. Now, if you drank one of those every day, assuming, of course, that the recipe hasn't changed, because after all, only 2 people in the world know the recipe, and they're not allowed to fly in the plane at the same time, right? You know that, okay? Assuming the recipe hasn't changed, if you drank one of those every day for a year, 6.5 ounces, that would be worth 8 pounds of fat per year, okay? Now, in 1955, after World War II, and sugar became plentiful again and wasn't being rationed, we have the appearance of the 10-ounce bottle, the first one that was found in vending machines, and you probably remember that one as well. Then in 1960, the ever ubiquitous 12-ounce can, worth 16 pounds of fat per year, and of course today, this over here is the single unit of measure, right, 20 ounces. Anybody know how many servings are in that bottle? 2.5 8-ounce servings, that's right. Anybody know, anybody who gets 2.5 8-ounce servings out of that bottle? That's a single serving, right? Okay, so that would be worth 26 pounds of fat per year if you did that every day. And then, of course, over here we have the 7-Eleven Big K Thirst Buster, Big Gulp, whatever you want to call it, 44 ounces worth 57 pounds of fat per year. And if that wasn't bad enough, my colleague Dr. Dan Hale at the University of Texas San Antonio tells me that down there they got a Texas-sized Big Gulp. 60 ounces of Coca-Cola, a Snickers bar, and a bag of Doritos, all for 99 cents. Okay, so if you did that every day for a year, that would be worth 112 pounds of fat per year. Okay? So why do I call it the Coca-Cola conspiracy? Well, what's in Coke? Caffeine, good, good. So what's caffeine? It's a mild stimulant, right? It's also a diuretic, right? Makes you pee free water. What else is in Coke? We'll get to the sugar in a minute. What else? Salt. Salt. 55 milligrams of sodium per can. It's like drinking a pizza. So what happens if you take on sodium and lose free water? You get thirstier, right? So why is there so much sugar in Coke? To hide the salt. When was the last time you went to a Chinese restaurant and had sweet and sour pork? That's half soy sauce. You wouldn't eat that. Except the sugar plays a trick on your tongue. You can't even tell it's there. Right? Everybody remember New Coke? 1985? More salt, more caffeine. They knew what they were doing. Okay? That's the smoking gun. Okay? They know. They know. All right, so that's why it's the Coca-Cola conspiracy. So, are soft drinks the cause of obesity? Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask the scientists for the National Soft Drink Association, they'll tell you there's absolutely no association between sugar consumption and obesity. Okay? If you ask my colleague, Dr. David Ludwig, remember I'm Lustig, he's Ludwig. Okay? He does what I do at Boston Children's Hospital. Someday we're going to open a law firm. Each additional sugared sweetened drink increase over a 19-month follow-up period in kids increased their BMI by this much and their odds-risk ratio for obesity by 60%. Okay? That's a prospective study on soft drinks and obesity. The real deal. If you look at meta-analyses, everybody know what a meta-analysis is? Okay, it's a conglomeration of numerous studies subjected to rigorous statistical analysis. Okay, 88 cross-sectional and longitudinal studies regressing soft drink consumption against energy intake, body weight, milk and calcium intake, adequate nutrition, all showing significant associations, and some of these being longitudinal. This came from Kelly Brownell's group at Yale. Okay? I should comment, disclaimer, those studies that were funded by the beverage industry showed consistently smaller effects than those that were independent. Wonder why. Now, how about the converse? What if you take the soft drinks away? So this was the fizzy drink study from Christchurch, England, James et al., British Medical Journal, where they went into schools and they took the soda machines out. Okay? Just like we did here in California. Okay? We haven't seen the data yet, but they went and did it for a year. So the prevalence of obesity in the intervention school stayed absolutely constant, no change, whereas the prevalence of obesity in the control schools, where nothing changed, continued to rise over the year. Okay, so that's pretty good. So, how about type 2 diabetes? Are soft drinks the cause of type 2 diabetes? Well, this study from JAMA in 2004 looked at the relative risk ratio of all soft drinks, cola, fruit punch, and found a very statistically significant trend of sugared soft drinks, fruit aids, etc., causing type 2 diabetes. And you know we've got just as big a problem with type 2 diabetes as we do with obesity. for the same reasons. And this was a sugared sweetened beverage against risk for type 2 diabetes in African American women. Looking here at sugared sweetened soft drinks, just the downward arrow shows that there was a significant rise as the number of drinks went up. You can see that here, whereas orange and grapefruit juice, interestingly, did not. Okay? So, two different studies, two different increases in type 2 diabetes relative to soft drink consumption. So what's in soft drinks? Well, in America, it's this stuff, right? High fructose corn syrup. Everybody's heard of it, right? It's been demonized, something awful. So much so that the corn refiners industry has launched a mega campaign to try to absolve high fructose corn syrup of any problems, which we'll talk about in a moment, okay? But the bottom line is, this is something we were never exposed to before, 1975, and currently we are consuming 63 pounds per person per year, every one of us. 63 pounds of high fructose corn syrup. That's American? That's American, yes. Now, what is high fructose corn syrup? Well, you'll see in a minute. It's 1 glucose, 1 fructose. We'll talk about those at great length. One of the reasons we use high fructose corn syrup is because it's sweeter. So here's sucrose. This is cane or beet sugar, standard table sugar, you know, the white stuff, okay? And we give that an index in sweetness of 100. So here's high fructose corn syrup. It's actually sweeter. It's about 120. So you should be able to use less, right? Wrong. We use just as much. In fact, we use more. So here's lab fructose over here, if you had crystalline fructose, and they're starting to put crystalline fructose into some of the soft drinks. You can, they're actually advertising it as a good thing. And that's got a sweetness of 173. So you should be able to cut that way back, right? They're not. Lactose down here, milk sugar, it's not sweet at all. Okay? And glucose, I should point out over here, is 74. It's not particularly sweet, and we're going to get to that at the end. Okay, and what goes on with glucose. All right? But anyway, there's why we use it. It's sweeter. It's also cheaper, as I'll show you. So here's high fructose corn syrup. 1 glucose, 1 fructose. Notice the glucose is a 6-membered ring. The fructose is a 5-membered ring. They are not the same. Believe me, they're not the same. That's what this whole talk is about, is how they're not the same. Okay? And here's sucrose, and they're just bound together by this ether linkage. We have this enzyme in our gut called sucrase. It kills that bond in 2 seconds flat, okay, and you absorb it. And basically, high fructose corn syrup, sucrose, it's a non-issue. It's a wash. They're the same. Okay? And they know that that they're the same. The soft drink companies and the corn refiners, because here are their misses. Okay, this comes from the Corn Refiners Association. Obesity research shows high fructose corn syrup metabolizes and impacts satiety similar to sugar. Indeed, it does. I agree. Okay, decent meetings, academic meetings around the country. Okay, hunger and satiety profiles energy intakes following ingestion of soft drinks. Bottom line, research supported by the American Beverage Institute and the Corn Refiners Association. They are correct. There is absolutely no difference between high fructose corn syrup and sucrose. So much so that the Corn Refiners Association, in an attempt to capture market share, came out with this entire ad campaign. You probably saw it on the back page of the New York Times. Okay, it was on TV. It's everywhere. My hairdresser says that sugar is healthier than high fructose corn syrup. Wow, you get your hair done by a doctor? I didn't know I could cut hair. Okay, if you want to see all of them, there are a whole bunch of them. You can go to www.sweetsurprise.com and see how you're being hoodwinked. Okay, but indeed, this is true.
And that is where I am going to leave that for today. God's willing, I'll pick it up again on Monday. Well, Mrs. Henry, it's interesting that they're going to start making walking and smoking illegal. Interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, as always on a Thursday this time, we have on the phone, we have online, live and direct, immigration attorney at law, Mr. Winston Tucker. My brother, how are you and the family?
Very well, thank you. And how about yourself and your family?
Wonderful, man. Wonderful. Really blessed. For real.
Good.
Yes, so here I see a post on Facebook by Mrs. Henry saying, Good news. They went to ban smoking while walking. I find that so interesting. I'll tell you why. Because sometimes you really walk in and a person's in front of you, sometimes even quite a distance, and they are smoking, and whoa, you're getting some lung full of the smoke, so I don't know. It's interesting. Is it that they're slowly cutting out smoking, some banning periods to cancel it? What do you think?
Well, it is almost at that point. And then again, you have different competing forces. And as I have discovered, there's usually a financial element to any kind of banning that comes about.
Yeah.
So it behooves us to take a look at what the financial interests are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's interesting, though.
Yeah, I think so. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, really?" Very, very, very interesting. Yes. So, how you doing? Is everything good?
Well, given what we are dealing with in these United States presently,
Yeah.
then we have to be grateful and thankful that we have one less day to live to fight another day.
Right.
Because as the day goes on, then the end of this administration will come, and then we'll see what will happen next. Now, even before the end of this administration, we look forward to November.
Yes. Yeah.
And November is when we're going to have midterm elections, and the hope is that the more progressive forces and the judicious forces will take control of the legislative branch of government, the House of Representatives and the Senate, and in essence take the United States away from the brink of a constitutional crisis.
Yes.
What we have presently is the legislative and executive branch working in tandem, in a sense, dovetailing with a mindset that is not acceptable by the American people. And it seems like they're hell bent on putting policies in place that can never ever serve the American people well. It's more like ideological policies that has passed its days of usefulness. And so ultimately there is a financial cost to the residents, to the United States citizens. So hopefully we will see the changes that is anticipated in the November elections, Tony.
Do you think he can really survive? Is there a possibility, I should say, that he will fail to survive until November in terms of being in office? Do you think there's any possibility that he could be removed from office before?
Well, it depends on what we end up with come November. If we have the present situation as it is, where the legislative branch is controlled by the Republicans, then we will continue to get stonewalling of the checks and balances that the Constitution was designed for an operation of the United States that could be everlasting, so to speak. A democratic process that would stand the test of time. Right now it is challenged because that check and balance isn't there, and the check and balance isn't there because it is obvious that we have a rogue president, and a rogue president that is questionable. And the question relates to whether his involvement with Russia before he became president will cause him to be so tainted and beholden to Putin that it will compromise the United States' ability to act in a way that will challenge Russia under Putin to behave properly. And we are seeing where Russia under Putin is not behaving properly. We had Crimea before this president came into office, and the movement by the State Department in trying to bring Russia in line with that rogue behavior in Crimea, but that is now past, and we haven't heard anything about trying to bring them in line. We saw the tainting of the United States democratic process, and the administration, the Obama administration, leaving trails as to what should happen with sanctions. The legislative branch did pass a set of sanctions, not implemented by this president. In fact, in this past week, a few days ago, we had the elections, or in quotes, so-called elections in Russia, which by every reporting is an election that is orchestrated. And our president found it necessary to come out and congratulate the Russian President Putin for his victory, a victory that is not democratic, totally opposite to what the American people is expecting. And in fact, it was reported, Tony, that his security advisor did put in bold letter that he should not congratulate Putin. Nevertheless, he went ahead. So the question continues to be what it is that Putin have on our present president, Mr.
Yeah, but is it unusual for a president to call Putin? This is not the first election he's going to win. Is it unusual? I don't know that it's unusual.
It is unusual under the present circumstances.
Okay. So my question becomes now, if we really and truly need more evidence, more proof that one, this person is incompetent, two, he has absolutely no idea what the hell he's doing, three, that the security of the United States is in jeopardy, four, that he has absolutely no morals, five, there could be criminal elements to his operation in terms of money laundering and who knows what else. Isn't there enough there to say, no, we have to get rid of this person? Isn't there enough?
Well, if we're going to use the measure that is used in the Me Too movement against popular figures who have been accused of behaving outlandishly or outrageously in an abusive way towards women, if we're going to use that standard where you're accused and then the powers that be comes in and cut you down without due process, then yes, there's enough. But the thing is, there is a constitution that requires due process. And whereas it has not been forthcoming as it relates to abusive behavior of those persons, Muslim men, in prominent position, then you're going to be hard-pressed to use that kind of behavior to get rid of a president of the United States without due process. And in this case, due process requires impeachment hearing. Whether we'll get there or not is left to be seen, Tony.
You want to hold a minute for me? Let's see what's coming soon. Tony Ryan. Hello, Tony Ryan. Oh. Okay. No, the person hung up. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, so it's a matter of an impeachment hearing, and we'll see where that goes. Now, you also asked earlier on, and it's part of the same question as to where we will get with all of this, with all the evidence that have been piling up. At what point we're going to get to evaluating and act in a way as the Constitution requires, in essence, no one being above the law. And that is in the hands of Mueller.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we look to that to see what and when you come about. In the meantime, there is and has been concern that the president still have enough power to dismiss Mueller.
Okay.
So it's a chess game that is going on. But at the end of all of this, the most powerful branch in all of this now will be the legislative branch, the House of Representatives and the Senate. And if you remember correctly, the House of Representatives, in fact, today, discontinued any investigation into the Russian collusion with the elections in the United States.
You want to hold a second for me? Because there seems to be some breaking news here. Mrs. Henry just made a post that H.R. McMaster is out.
Yes.
So you heard about it before?
Well, in this administration, everything is constantly breaking.
Yeah, this just came in. This just came in. Some Mrs. Henry just made a post that is out. Another one back the dust has put it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. And also his the lead attorney for the Trump administration resigned today.
Wow. So we had 2 in one day?
Yeah, his personal attorney resigned. who was leading his Trump team to defend the allegations of the Russian collusion. So that attorney decided to leave. So it's not pretty. It isn't pretty. But you see, Tony, right now, you're looking on and you're getting the feeling and you're asking, as you ask, why are we not addressing efficiently the principles or the principle of the Constitution that says no one is above the law? Why not?
I can't understand it. I'm at a loss, you know. This person here, he has broken every rule he can think about, and some of them are quite criminal, because if the average John Doe had done what he is doing, they'd have been behind bars a long time ago. Would have been behind because money laundering is a serious thing. Money laundering is a very, very, very serious crime. And that is floating out there so much that Trump Plaza in Manhattan, that was used as a money laundering machine. That has implication towards in all the way to Russia. So if me as a layperson can be seeing this, come on, what are they waiting on?
True, they're waiting on Mueller. And you see, is it useful for Mueller to try to wrap this up quickly? Because fine, the position of the president is very powerful, and you bring charges, you get to the point where the president is impeached, and it comes back that, okay, he's going to be removed from office, then this is where you start to make the deal. And
I don't understand the part.
With any deal,
I don't understand. The deal.
Go ahead.
This is the part where you begin to make the deal. I don't understand that part of it.
Well, at this point in time, instead of going through a full impeachment hearing and the evidence is so strong against you, then it's a prosecutable event, and if you agree to some things like with Mueller so far, some of the persons who are working with him, cooperating with him, have agreed to a deal with him in exchange for information. So at their sentencing, they'll be lenient.
Right.
So at this point, I presume, like Nixon, Trump will, if it gets to that point, make a deal so that he'll leave amicably and no charges pressed, and he loses the presidency. As to what will happen to other persons engaged in collusion or engaged in money laundering, then like with the Nixon administration, some will end up being imprisoned, spending time. See? So Mueller has to balance all of that, because if you move too early, then remember, early on in the administration, the question was whether the president was in a position to forgive himself and his family members.
Yes, I remember that question clearly. Let me pause here and say, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the voice of Immigration Attorney at Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. And on a Thursday at this time, he and I, we go over the week's news in terms of politics and its impact on immigration. So if you just joined us, we are here talking about the politics. And remember, Immigration Attorney at Law, Winston Tucker, he's a professional. He can represent you anywhere within the United States, anywhere, all right? And he, as I said, he's a professional. He's an expert. He knows how to figure out your best options in terms of immigration. Give him a call, 718-276-8767. Again, 718-276-8767. And you can call him right this moment, but if you call and you're able to speak with him directly, you may send him a text using the same number, 718-276-8767. And when you call, mention the Tony Ryan Show case, and you will receive an incentive for doing so. Okay? We are going to deal with the immigration part of it in a moment. And if you have a question, wow, let's see, I'm on Facebook, so you can post your questions on Facebook, or you can give me a call, 718-354-7000. Again, 718-354-7000. Okay? If you have a specific question that you want to ask Immigration and Trade Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. Yes, sir, sorry, go ahead.
Well, yes. So the big question at the outset of this administration, Tony, as we were saying, was whether this president had the ability, well, he certainly has the ability to forgive or pardon whomever he chooses, but as to whether he has the ability to pardon himself is still a question that's out there. And we know, regardless of how the optics are with this president, optics makes no difference to this president. So therefore, even if it will not look good to pardon persons who were blatantly in violation of United States laws and regulation, then yes, he's going to be doing that. So I'm sure Mullah is probably trying to run out the clock and bring this to a close to the end of this presidency, where the charges can still come forward without this president having the ability to pardon anybody, including himself. See, other than that, if it comes up early, then first you'll have to get past the Republican Congress, and then you'll have to get past the Republican-led Supreme Court. All politics there. Now, if it ends up happening after this president leaves office, then it becomes a criminal matter, and you don't have to be worrying too much about indicting the President of the United States, which some constitutional scholars say you cannot do. So if you're not president, then you become indictable for criminal offenses before you took office. As to those that happened while you're in office, then it's something else.
Okay.
So there's a whole lot happening there, Tony.
Is there a case of this, a case history of this, where any president has ever been imprisoned after they leave office? Do you know of any?
No. I have no knowledge of anything like that, and I don't believe it will happen, because it would be a terrible precedent. See, it is important, regardless of what the president do, it is important that you have a peaceful transition of power with the most powerful nation in the world, with the most powerful democracy in the world.
Yeah, so
and
go ahead.
And to have a process that would cause this president to serve time in prison would I believe taint that process.
You mean even after he leaves office?
I believe, yes. They would be hard-pressed. The next president would be hard-pressed to allow that to happen, because he has left office. There was a peaceful transition of power. Nevertheless, you found it possible, your judicial system, your attorney general, found it possible to still prosecute a former president and have this president serve time in prison. So I don't see any prison time.
But this is frightening. And I'm serious, and this is really, really, really frightening. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Let's say this individual, it can be proven that he was engaged in money laundering, and based upon who that is involved in this, you could even put in espionage if you so choose, right? But we're going to leave that as it is there now. But we're going to say the president leaves office and continue his involvement in money laundering. He still can't send him to prison because he was.
Well, I doubt that there would be a continuance of that kind of behavior. I doubt it very much that any kind of agreement that would come about would allow any kind of continuation of that behavior. You see, remember now, it is the peaceful transition of power that is important. And also, we had a slight example, I would say, of that in the election between Al Gore and George Bush Jr., where the Supreme Court came in and said, well, when all is said and done, Bush is going to be elected president. The vote counting is going to stop now. See? Because it was going on for an extended period of time, and if it had continued, then that peaceful transition of power, that mindset that the American people have come to respect and the world has come to respect, would have continued to be challenged. And at what point you were going to be able to shut it down without causing damage. So in as much as we might have disagreed with the Supreme Court decision and whomever they would have given it to, I believe they did their job in preserving the democratic principles, and in this case the principle of peaceful transition of power.
And I understand all of that, you know. I understand all of that, but to think that this person here would become immune to any kind of prosecution or prosecutory actions going forward, I don't know. I find that that's quite frightening.
Yes, it is disheartening, frightening. We can use so many different adjectives to describe it. But you see, Tony, when all is said and done in the history of the world and in the history of democracy, the amount of time that we have experienced democracy isn't a whole lot of time. So when you get powerful people getting away with things, that's nothing strange. It is these United States who have, for the most part, lived up to the principle that no one is above the law, and have caused that to stick for the most part, not completely, not in its entirety, but for the most part. They have managed to make that principle stick, but you're going to find from time to time, as in the case of Nixon, where you break the law and you don't suffer the consequences that the normal person would have suffered.
I hear, and knowing this individual, because I don't know, he's so deja vu. You know, the kind of individual that you have seen several times during your journey, and you say, yeah, I wish I don't have this experience again with somebody such as this one.
You know, whenever that person shows up, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yes. You know.
Oh yeah, you have persons like that. You have
true.
Persons like that.
Yeah.
You cannot get away from them.
Yeah, no matter what, as they say, I'll see you next time. I say, not if I see you first, you know.
That's right. I mean, look at what's happening in the administration.
Yeah.
Tillerson about 2 weeks ago, the word came out that Tillerson would have been out. They denied it. The word came out that McMaster would have been out and would have been replaced by John Bolton.
Yes.
A retread from the Bush years.
Yes.
Partly responsible for the devastation or taking the United States into a war with Iraq that is still ongoing, cost trillions of dollars, on the basis that they were weapons of mass destruction when they were not.
No.
Remember now,
Right.
John Bolton was part of that team that insisted that happen.
Yes.
And it brought the American economy to its knees.
Please. True.
And now McMaster is out after they denied, and Bolton is going to be replacing him. See? So what are we to expect from a Bolton? The same kind of braggadociousness from Trump, the warmongering that Bolton brings to the table.
Yeah.
All right. Iran now will be in play again. And the position will be, all right, let's take on Iran and take Iran to war.
Mm-hmm.
Not only Iran will be in play, but Korea, North Korea, if there was the possibility of any peaceful, amicable agreement, that's out the window now, because it's now a warmongering team that's coming into play.
Do you think this will have anything to do with the upcoming election in November, and to show that this president here has some amount of chutzpah, and therefore the American people? Remember, listen. If you're reading into it properly, and here it is, I'm treading on some real thin ice here now, what I'm about to say. When the Bush son George Bush, this junior, took office, he was seen for the most part as a joke. And when the 9/11 happened, and he decided to go to Iraq instead of Afghanistan, where the perpetrators really resided, he went to Iraq. And in the process of that, it was saying to the American public, listen, we were attacked, and I am your hope to resolve this matter here and now in the most definitive way. And it's either you are with us or you are against us. And his ratings went through the roof. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So could they try to do a deja vu of that situation? Do you think?
Well, remember now, it somehow have shown that the president's number goes up. All right, polling numbers always gets better when the president is engaged in war. Mm-hmm. However, this time it might be different, and this is why I'm saying now they have a warmongering or warmonger in terms of Bolton, and he's going to push the Trump team towards a war, and the Trump team may indeed want a war to become a distraction to the American people.
That's what I'm talking about.
Especially if they can get a war with Iran. And if you notice, Iran's arch enemy, Saudi Arabia, have been visiting the White House frequently. So therefore, the push might be to get into a war with Iran. And if you start to get that, then you'll get distracted enough, and the issues that are important to the American people is going to be pushed under the rug. I mean, for instance, the market dropped today over 700 points, Tony. And it is dropping because the market is concerned that the United States is now engaging China into a tariff war, into a trade war.
Right.
See, and the market is reflecting that. Now, the market right now is 23,000 plus, coming from a high of about 26 or thereabout.
Right.
Now, if this market drops to near 20,000, then this economy could end up, Tony, into a recession easily. Coupled with the tariff war, the trade war that is looming between the United States and China,
Mm-hmm.
coupled with Tony, and all of this is happening right now, which is why persons should really pay attention. Coupled the fact that the Federal Reserve Chair increased interest rate in the last 2 days,
Yes.
meaning money is going to be harder to come by.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm.
Money is going to cost more. So you're getting increases in costs everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Tariffs will increase the price you have to pay for things. Increase in interest rate is going to be increasing the price that you will have to pay for mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, Tony, oil prices have been going up.
Right.
And when you go to buy and fill up your car, the prices that you're paying have been inching up.
Mm-hmm.
See? And Wall Street is now reflecting the concern that, or the investors on Wall Street is now reflecting their concern that, you know what, I'm going to pull my money out because corporate profit, with all these increasing in prices, might cause the consumer not to purchase as much as we anticipated. So our profit and bottom line is going to be less.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it is not a pretty look right now.
I heard Brother Ruler Brown yesterday, Ruler Brown Network, giving a breakdown because he plays the market.
Yes.
And he was giving a breakdown as to what this president here had a theory that it could work, where you would give these big corporations some big breaks, and then these corporations were supposed to hire more people and so on. And what they actually did was to just buy back them stock, use the excess money and buy back them stock.
Absolutely, in this environment, yes.
Yeah, and here it is, everything is just backfiring. And he mentioned earlier today too about the fact that the interest rate has went up, and which is going to create a big problem, you know.
Oh yes.
So this person, in essence, as we are talking about it, needs a war. Think about it.
Which is always the case. They always need a war in a circumstance like this as a distraction.
Yeah, he needs a war. And he's going to have one, and the little children are going to suffer. A lot of little children that is happening at the moment in Syria, where nobody is paying attention to in the power, in the UN, and not seeing them going and saying, no, this can't work. That's what they are there for. Nobody is paying attention to the fact that little children and ladies and mothers are being slaughtered, you know, and nobody is paying attention to this thing. You know, it's really and truly concerning, you know. Well, I think we just went into a session break on Mellow and Unity, but we're going to continue, you know, because we're still live with Foundation Radio Network in Florida, Ruler Brown Network in Georgia, Arizona Radio in Georgia, 21st Century Radio in Brooklyn. So we continue. You know, but this is really and truly frightening. I remember when we had the situation with the Monica Lewinsky situation with Bill Clinton.
Yes.
He went to war.
Oh yes.
As a distraction, he did.
Oh yeah. Yes.
You know, so
it is not a surprise that he's, you know, doing this shake-up in anticipation of a more aggressive policy that will beat everybody into a war with the United States. And certainly the engagement of China, and I'm not saying that China should not be engaged.
Yes.
With how China have been conducting itself of late, and with the new extension of power given to the Chinese leader, then they ought to be engaged. The thing is, though, you need a steady hand to employ this kind of engagement, and I don't see where we have the steady hand in the White House or the pragmatic enough team in the White House that can do the balancing act that you're going to need to be successful. Plus all the other issues that are swirling around, and Facebook, Tony,
Yes.
is huge.
Yes.
Huge in the sense that this entity in England, United Kingdom,
Yes.
Cambridge Analytica, is a research entity that managed to use the information from 50 million Facebook users in the United States without the permission of these persons to deliver information to the Trump team. See? All of this is unsavory behavior. All of this, Tony, is similar to what the Russians were doing. See? So it's not only the Russians who were doing,
Right.
and the Trump administration in collusion with them.
Right.
You now have emerging this entity, Cambridge Analytica, doing illicit things, unsavory behavior, affecting the American democratic process, and again, within the Trump machinery. See?
Yeah.
And it was only today that the Foreign Intelligence Committee in the House declined to go forward with any kind of hearing with the Facebook founder, Mark Zuckerberg. Because you now start to have hearings, then information is going to start to come out.
Yeah, I understand. So we are supposed to expect now what happens with Facebook now. What do you think?
Oh yes, and we haven't even begun to scratch the surface as to how Facebook, for profit, have managed to use their membership without their permission to increase and make money to the disadvantage of their users.
Yes.
See?
Yes. Yes.
Because if I'm part of it, if I'm one of your users, and you're going to be allowing other entity to use my information and then turn around and be able to deliver fake news to me, so I cannot make an informed decision, then it is not good for me.
No, can't be.
And this is exactly what happened.
Yes.
These are the things that happened. So when we had members in the Trump team during the election cycle saying that, yes, it might be the Russians, and it might be anybody else sitting in their living room who is overweight and is only sitting in their living room in their shorts. It could be anybody. Then they knew what they were talking about.
Right.
Because one of their major support has been reported that worked with Steve Bannon. One of their major funding money machine that worked with Steve Bannon. It is reported as part ownership of this Cambridge Analytica. See?
Interesting.
And this is why you would get a Nunes who heads the House Intel Committee want no part of a hearing with Facebook.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. I don't know. All of this thing is just so messy. All of this here, my brother, is really and truly so messy. We don't
Yeah,
know. You know, there's no seems to be a clear path to decency. You know, as far as this administration is concerned, there's no clear cut path.
Not pretty at all.
No.
Absolutely not pretty.
No. Well,
but nevertheless, we still maintain the faith in this number one democracy. Because I've always noticed one thing, Tony, that the people of the United States collectively always get it right. And we're going to start to see a turnaround, I believe, come November.
You believe that?
I believe that because I've not seen where the people of the United States don't make that turnaround. Let's put it this way. The war that the Bush administration engaged the people of the United States in, that caused the United States to come to its knees financially. The people of the United States stood up, and what they did, they recognized a Barack Obama who from the outset in his presentation at the Democratic National Convention, from the outset, said this war was unnecessary. And the foundation that they laid for the war was not founded. And so he got rewarded by being elected president.
Right.
So this is an example as to how the people of the United States collectively eventually process information in their best interest.
True. All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the voice of Immigration and Trinidad Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. And remember, he can represent you anywhere within the United States. And as an expert, he will be able to tell you what your best options are. Give him a call. Immigration and Trinidad Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. Give him a call at 718-276-8767. Again, 718-276-8767. Now, if you're able to speak with him directly when you call, send him a text using the same number, 718-276-8767, and mention the Tony Ryan Showcase, and you will receive an incentive for doing so. Okay? So in terms of immigration, and looking at the clock now, it is now 9 minutes after 7, 9:07. In terms of immigration and what is happening at this time, what are the effects on immigration at this time, with all of what is taking place?
Well, with all of what is taking place, what we still have that is of major concern is the agenda of the administration to be able to show significant increase in deportation or removal of non-citizens from the United States.
Really?
So yes, that is the agenda. In fact, before I go even further into that, the spending bill that was passed in the House of Representatives today, that is anticipated that the president will get to sign. Somehow they managed to get not billions of dollars for the border wall or for the wall, so to speak, but they managed to get somewhere upwards of about 600 million plus for going towards building the wall. I mean, it's an absolute mindless engagement, but they had to get this in there for optics. Follow, Tony?
Yes, I follow.
So the budgeting process is not one where how can we spend the money of the people of the United States effectively and efficiently, but how can we make a presentation in the budget that is satisfying an ideological position that is outright nonsensical. So yes, he will have that to go back and point to in campaign speeches, and the push to remove non-citizens from the United States continues. So whereas at the outset, Tony, the argument was that yes, this is going to be the position of the administration to remove non-citizens who have broken the law in the United States. Primarily, we'll focus on those who have criminal conviction that endanger the community. What we're finding is that you are getting an increased number of persons who are being put in detention who have no criminal conviction. The only thing that they have is that they were picked up having overstayed their time in the United States. And whereas in previous or recent times, there was no going out and knocking on the door of those who, when they entered the United States, entered on a non-immigrant temporary visa with a given time to leave, and who did not leave. And as you know, when you're coming in, then you also have to state an address where you will be staying.
Right.
So what you're finding now is that once they see where you have not left the United States, then they're now more inclined, not in every case, but now more inclined than in the past, to send an ICE officer out to check to see if they can find you.
But
so,
do they really have that kind of manpower?
I was thinking, Tony, that no. I was thinking that no until I read recently that in as much as we were out here thinking that they would be limited by funds, then they are not, because some of the things that they managed to do is to get things under the radar as to how they use funds that is designated for the Department of Homeland Security. So within that budgetary designation or amount of money that is designated for Homeland Security, and it might have been broken down into different departments over the years, then the Secretary of Homeland Security can decide that if we had assigned or earmarked X amount for ICE in previous years, and our budget when we presented it was X plus 1 for ICE, because our agenda is now different, then we will move some from another department within the Homeland Security and give that money to ICE to facilitate the need to have ICE officers out there chasing bodies.
What's the benefit behind the removing of so many non-citizens? What's the benefit behind it? I'm trying to figure.
Well, you're probably asking someone who might be biased, but even as I search myself to be unbiased, then I'm going to say I don't see the benefit of spending money, that is, to remove persons from the United States who do not represent a danger to the community. If you represent a danger to the community, Tony, then it's a different thing, and this is why we say, this is why we say, and as you say readily just now, by all means, because we say here all the time, don't break the law.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
If you break the law, then you're not going to find any welcoming listenership here.
No.
So first and foremost, don't break the law.
Yes.
And if you are not breaking the law, then what is the benefit of spending thousands of dollars to remove you from the United States when it could be better spent on going after those who become a danger to the community?
Yeah. By removing so many folks, now you have at one point you could have. On an even given day, you could go to Home Depot and you'd find some Mexicans, usually, looking for work. No, you can't. You can't find these people anymore, from what I'm hearing.
And that drives up your costs. And these persons were not necessarily persons breaking the law or with criminal conviction.
Exactly.
See, and you see, Tony, remember now, if you're a recent arrival and just manage to overstay your time, and they come out and is able to find you, then it is going to be easier for them to remove you because you would have had less time in the United States. And having less time in the United States, then you would have accrued less benefits. You would be in a position not to be able to say, for instance, I've been here for over 10 years and I have children here. And so there are statutes in the Immigration and Nationality Act that says that if I fit a particular criteria, then I can ask the judge to allow me to stay.
Right.
So recent arrivals isn't going to have that privilege.
Quite
so it's going to be easy for you to be ordered removed and increase the numbers of removal. And you presenting an increased number of removal from the United States might make it seem like you have been doing a good job, when all of the persons who were here and overstayed when you took office, who you promised to remove, are still here. So it's just a matter of moving bodies and numbers around.
Yeah, but the cost of so many things have been going up or have gone up because, there are these laborers now, they're not there anymore.
Yes.
To reap the different kind of agricultural things,
Yes.
So the cost is going up, and these people also contributed to the economy in terms of buying power. They pay taxes,
That's right.
So I really don't get it.
You see, the thing is, they do pay taxes, including Social Security taxes.
Yeah.
And because they are here unlawfully present and have no authorization to work, then they do not get any benefit of what they contribute towards as it relates to Social Security taxes, unemployment taxes, and the like.
Yeah.
See, so that's a benefit to the American Treasury.
I really cannot see the wisdom in saying. Let me ask you, do you know, since this person took office, roughly how many people that have been deported? Do you have any idea?
No, I don't. I don't have that number. But what I can say is that they have somehow hit the brick wall that we discussed on this program, and the brick wall is that you have an infinite number. You have a limited amount of immigration, Judge.
Right.
All right, and they flooded the system with those who they want to remove.
Right.
So what you find is that the denominator is fixed, the numerators increase astronomically.
Mm-hmm.
So you now get an increase in the outcome. So therefore, persons who have to be processed in immigration court is going to increase dramatically. And when you increase the amount of persons that have to be processed through immigration court, it is going to take more time because the amount of time the judge have didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's taking longer to get a final hearing of removal.
No,
See?
there's a lady who just joined us. Well, she joined us and has been listening. Miss Irene Thomas, and she writes in the room, just live clean and decent. You have nothing to worry about. If you break the law of the land, take anything that, whatever. You know, she's saying, if you live clean, then you have nothing to worry about. I would like to, you can respond to that, my brother.
Yes, which is what we have been saying. Don't break the law. Period.
Yeah, we understand this.
The thing is, if you don't break the law, then the likelihood of them picking you up is going to be less.
Great, but how many people you know who have not broken the law? They just simply overstayed. They just said it just now, and they end up in detention.
Yes, but those are those are in essence recent arrivals, and Tony, if we're going to be practical and reasonable, if you're a recent arrival and you are aware that the present position of these United States is that they don't want you overstaying, they have no resources to come out and hunt you down and try to get rid of you, then you're going to try to keep in line with what the law is at the present time. When you're in Rome, do like the Romans do.
Totally
So
agree.
if that is the present edict, then at least pay attention. Don't run past the red lights.
Totally agree. Totally agree. But how many people they have just simply... okay, for instance, here's a lady coming back from some place, from one state to another. And she was stopped. This was on social media quite recently. And she was stopped. She was there with her family, and she was asked if she was a United States citizen. And she said, I'm not going to answer that. Am I crossing a border? You're doing an immigration check. Am I crossing a border? Is this a border? No, it's not. So I don't have to answer you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going from here to home. And I'm not even near a border. So why are you asking me this question? And the lady decided that she was going to hold on to her rights and don't give them that information. No. Of course, finally, they made her go because they were asking for ID. They were doing all different. The lady said, listen, I don't have to tell that I'm a citizen or not. My family and myself, we are going from one point to another point. And finally, they allowed them to go. How many people you know of who overstayed the time, working, went from one job to another job, and they're going to be stopped, and they can react in this manner? How many? Not many, if any.
No,
not
many. True.
And they will be detained. If okay, I need to see ID. I need to, once they start to give up that sort of information, they can now run them thing and say, no, you should have left here a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yes.
You have no criminal record in the system, but when find out now that you have overstayed, and you're now removable, It's frightening.
Well, you see the thing in all of this, then you have enough information to say that unless they can be certain and that you're not a U.S. citizen, then they run the risk of detaining you. And in running the risk of detaining you, then run the risk of you suing the United States and being successful in court and getting monetary reward, monetary benefit.
Of course, we understand this. We understand what about a decent family person who trying to see if they can, somehow get themselves. Okay, look here. A man and his wife, eh? A man and his wife and children end up in the United States. And I'm just pulling, and as an attorney, probably you can even shed some light on this as the immigration attorney. A man and his wife end up in the United States, and they have young children when they came. They have now been living here for the past 10 years. The children, the oldest one when they came was 5. So they now have, that child is now 15, and they are married, and them say, I'm not going to try anything, any kind of shenanigan to sort out myself. And shenanigan could mean going through, doing some stuff. And I want to put that in anybody's head. Get people. I don't want to trench here. And they're coming from, let's say, a friend's home for Thanksgiving, and they're stopped. Right away, they are removable. All of them. What kind of sense does that make? They're working, they're paying the taxes, they're trying to trying to probably wait on some kind of amnesty to file or to apply or something. Is it fair to remove this family? That's my argument.
Well,
fair.
And this is why the previous administration had a very useful policy of prosecutorial discretion, because at the point that President Obama took office, this is exactly what was happening. And that administration came into being and said, here's what. We're going to now institute this policy of discretion, prosecutorial discretion, where if you have been here an extended period of time, you have family, you're not a danger to the community, then yes, you're put in immigration court in a removal hearing, and you, even if you cannot show that you have a relief available to stay in the United States, or even if you do, what we'll do is administratively close your case. Put that on the back burner for as long as you continue to not break the law. Never to come back in court. Prosecutorial discretion, this administration came about and they reversed that. Not only reversed that, but in previous administration where you would have been taken into custody and put in a process where you keep reporting to the ICE officers every month or so, or every 2 months, or every time you have a immigration court hearing to see where your case is. That was discontinued also. In fact, what you find is that many who had this privilege would have gone into report to ICE, only for ICE to detain them when nothing changed in their lives, other than the administration.
Right.
The only thing that changed was the administration change.
Right, and they didn't do anything. Let me respond to something in the room where Mrs. Henry wrote, if you are a legal alien, under the new law, they will send you home. No, it's not like that, Mrs. Henry. And, you want to address it, Mr. Tucker?
If you are, say that again, if you are an illegal alien.
If you are a legal alien, under the new law, they will send you home. You want to address that?
Well, it all depends. You can be a legal permanent resident with removable offenses.
Aye.
But if you're a legal permanent resident and you're not in violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act, then no, there's no concern that you're going to be sent home. Absolutely not.
Right. And this is probably what Ms. Thomas was alluding to when she spoke about if you don't do anything, then you have nothing to worry about. But let's visit a little bit. And the time is now 7:32, 28 minutes for the hour of 8. Let's discuss a little bit about the things that you could have done in the past that would make you become removable. What are some of the things, Mr. Tucker?
Well, let me address something that is kind of unique.
Yes.
You might have had problems with immigration before. The immigration many years ago, at a time, say for instance, you were trying to enter the United States,
yeah,
and you were sent back, and this happened in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, records that were being kept was not as efficient and thorough today.
Yeah,
all right, so therefore you could have been sent back, and it was not put in a place where it was easily discoverable in the future.
Yeah.
You managed to go on, you send back, you come back in, you get legal permanent residency, and you get citizenship. But in the meantime, you have processes now that would go back to old information, input old information in the system, and suddenly these old incidents that you keep popping up.
Mm-hmm.
See? In the meantime now, you have managed to get your green card, you have managed to get your citizenship, and it could be that along the way, where it was required of you to make note of your incident where you were sent back home or you came in and had a problem with entering and was sent back home, you did not report that.
Right.
That old incident can still be out there that can come back to haunt you. And with the new efficiency that they have now in screening information and in bringing all information to the attention of ICE officers, will cause that to now be available. As to whether it will be enough to put you in a place where you are denaturalized, or put you in a place where, if you're not a citizen, where you can run the risk of your legal permanent residency being revoked, that's another issue. See, so the thing is, the point I'm making is that the systems now that are available that can detect any kind of interaction that you might have had legally or otherwise with immigration or with any law enforcement body in the United States is more efficient today than it was in the past. So just be mindful of that when you go forward and try to access the system for any kind of benefit, even if you are United States leaving and coming.
And with that right there, I must say to the audience, you're listening to the voice of Immigration Attorney at Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. And he can represent you anywhere within the United States. And he just laid out some scenarios just now, or a particular scenario about having obtained a legal status, and you run into a problem. Guess what? The first person you need to call is Immigration Attorney at Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. 718-276-8767. Again, 718-276-8767. Truth of the matter is, even if you are one of them folks who fall under that umbrella. Don't wait until you get picked up. Give him a call. 718-276-8767. And if you're unable to speak with him at the time you call, send him a text. Same number, 718-276-8767. I'm going to ask you to hold just for a quick moment. Let me take something off the desk. It's Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Hold a second for me.
Healthy Living Health Food Store, located at 3956 White Plains Road in the Bronx, between 224th and 225th Streets, where you can purchase all your vitamins and other supplements, your vegan standard breakfast, lunch, and dinner Mondays to Saturdays. Get rid of diabetes with the Diabetes Be Gone, high blood pressure with the High Blood Pressure Resolve, high cholesterol with the Cholesterol Cleanse. Fellows, all your prostate and bedroom problems with the Rooster Fixer, frequent and weak urination, the after dribble, erectile dysfunction, and premature ejaculation. And ladies, all the female health issues, get rid of them. Bring to our attention any other health concern you may have, because we do consultations Mondays to Saturdays from 12 noon to 7 p.m. Call to make an appointment. We also do mail order. The address is 3956 White Plains Road in the Bronx, between 224th and 225th Streets, or call 718-798-0773. Again, 718-798-0773.
And remember, while there at Healthy Living Health Food Store, you can choose from a wide assortment of vegetable patties. Your ackee, your callaloo, your kale, your lentil, your soy, your veggie beef, your veggie chicken, your veggie fish, okay? And the callaloo, I mean, you name it. A wide assortment of vegetable patties. And don't forget, while there also, you purchase your vegan standard pastry. Yeah. Next week, we're supposed to be having, for Easter, the Easter bun, vegan standard. Everything you talk about that we provide here. Vegan standard pastry, vegan standard the Easter bun and so on. In fact, we had some samples there at the store today. One individual tasted and said, this was definitely not purchased on the street. Who make this? Yeah, man. And wanted to purchase some right there on the spot. So, look here. Remember, bear that in mind at Healthy Living. For next week, God's willing, you can get your, well, we're taking orders because we have a big supply of that. Taking orders for your vegan standard bun, Easter bun, okay? And also your alkaline water. And don't forget about our very effective weight loss program, yeah? And any other health concern that you may have, you can mention it to us, because we do consultation Mondays to Fridays from noon until 7 p.m. on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Again, Healthy Living, 3956 White Plains Road, the Bronx, between 224th and 225th Streets. Telephone number is 718-798-0773. Again, 718-798-0773. Healthy Living is where health lives.
Marcus Hilton, Certified Public Accountants, located at 4226A White Plains Road at 234th Street in the Bronx, have been serving the public for over 30 years in the areas of income tax return preparation and all other income tax services, including payroll services, accounting services, and individual tax ID number preparation. If you do not have a Social Security number and would like to file your tax return, Marcus Hilton, Certified Public Accountant, is one of the few tax services registered with the IRS to assist with a tax ID number. They are experts in the tax laws, so they will find what other tax preparers miss, maximizing your dollar return. For the self-employed or corporate people, they are also experts in those areas. Marcus Hilton, Certified Public Accountant, is located again at 4226A White Plains Road at 234th Street in the Bronx. Their telephone number is 718-554-0640. Again, that's 718-554-0640. 554-0640.
Yes, indeed. Marcus Hilton, the accounting firm of Marcus Hilton, 718-554-0640. Also, don't forget, if you're having problems with student loans, medical bills, bankruptcies, late payments, collection accounts, tax liens, then you must give Mrs. Tracy Ann Bagaloo a call. She's one of the representatives at Financial Education Services. And Mrs. Bagaloo's number is 954-639-2404. Again, 954-639-2404. Remember the name, Mrs. Tracy Ann Bagaloo. And as always mentioned, the Tone Ryan Showcase, and you will receive an incentive for doing so. But again, ladies and gentlemen, on the line we have Immigration Attorney at Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. Remember his telephone number, 718-276-8767. And also that he can represent you anywhere within the United States. Anywhere. And you must understand by now that he is a professional. He's an expert. He can tell you your best options. He mentioned just now before we went into the break that even if you are a permanent resident and probably even a citizen, there are things that can come up because of modernization that can come back and haunt you. Hey, look, if you have something like that hanging over your head, 718-276-8767. 718-276-8767. Remember the name, Immigration Attorney at Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. Now, I remember a case where a youngster was, and this happened back during the person who started all of this thing, really, which was President Clinton. But it's so ironic that a person from his team got caught up into it, left the country and couldn't come back in. There's a youngster who, hold on, some of the one. I called the number. All I heard in the background was people talking. And no answer. Someone said they called the number, Mr. Tucker, and they heard people talking but no answer. What is that? How come?
What number they call?
Mrs. Bagaloo. Okay, Miss Bagaloo. Okay, not your number, sir. I'm sorry. Miss Bagaloo's number they call.
Okay.
Well, I'll have to check into that. I'll have to check into that because I'll check into that and get back to you, Mrs. Henry. Yes. So therefore, this person going to school was caught smoking a spliff, like in the 80s, early 80s, and or 70s, late 70s. Could have been late 70s, early 80s. And he went on to become an attorney. Married, had two practices, one in Brooklyn, one in Manhattan. And left the country. He didn't become a citizen. Left the country. Was coming back in with the family. And they stopped him and sent him back. Because of that infringement when he was but a child. A youngster. Now, surely there are cases where a person can break the law and can say, no. And right here, as you must know by now, understand by now, we're not into the law-breaking thing at all. We're law-breakers, we're not backing law-breakers,
That's right.
And thing. But there are certain things, like for instance, a guy named Liquor Spliff, or smoking Liquor Spliff, and is put before the court. In a case like that, how would something like that happen, Mr. Tucker?
Well, the thing is, over the years, we have seen that it is continuing where a few years ago the Supreme Court have come back to recognize that marijuana or having a marijuana conviction for less than, for the most part, a small amount, the court said, but they did not define what a small amount is. But traditionally, a small amount is less than 30 grams.
Mm.
All right? And, 30 grams of marijuana is, in essence, approximately an ounce.
Yeah.
And an ounce of dry leaf is a whole lot.
Yeah.
See? So therefore, the Supreme Court is coming back to say 30 grams or less is not a big deal. So that should not cause you to have any immigration problems anymore. See, so for the most part, you hardly have a problem these days with small amount of marijuana. And you also have case law that is coming into being, that in essence that require the state to know more definitive as to what they're charging you with.
Okay.
See, in the old days, they could simply write possession of a controlled substance, but today that's not good enough.
Yes. Yeah. There's something I wanted to ask you just now regarding we're talking about marijuana. Oh Lord. And the question slipped me, but you can add to whatever it is there, and it's going to come back.
Well, yes, as it relates to, say, just charging one with possession of a controlled substance, and in the past you would have found that because it's a controlled substance and it was not, say, marijuana, then you would have been and could have been classified as an aggravated felon and removed without relief. Now, it is harder to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that they have to now show is that whatever the state conviction is have to be identical to what the federal conviction would have been under the federal statute.
Okay.
So if you find that you're convicted of a controlled substance under state statute that is have things in it or say green tea, they classify in the state as a controlled substance, and in the federal statute it's not listed there. Then it means then that your state statute is too broad, and that cannot be used to define me as a controlled substance abuser in immigration court. See, so it is not that simple anymore. So you need good counsel these days to dig into these differences and not necessarily accept a definition that the Immigration and Custom Enforcement is bringing, or the Department of Homeland Security is bringing, as to why they want you removed.
True. Someone is asking me to repeat the number. 718-276-8767. Again, the telephone number for Immigration Attorney at Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. His number is 718. You want to give that for me?
That's 718-276-8767. That is 718-276-8767, or in the alternative, 917-692-2422. That's 917-692-2422. If you don't get me on the first time you call, always send me a text, and this way you are sure they respond.
And there's also an email address.
That is correct. And that's Winston T. Simple. Winston with a T at AOL.com.
You see, there are several ways in which you can reach him. And this is a person who is on the ball. I can tell you that. He's on the ball. You know. For those persons who know that you have a situation that could come up, it is always good to know what you can do. Again, it could be out of status, it could be in status, but there are some flaws there. Don't wait. Don't do not wait. Do not wait. Give immigration attorney at law Winston Tucker a call. Give him a call. It makes all the sense in the world. 718-276-8767. He has the answers. Yeah, he has the answers. He can tell you what your best options, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do. There's absolutely nothing that you should do without knowing what your options are. There are people, I'm sure there are persons who got picked up and didn't understand that before you leave, you know, or I can tell you a case where a gentleman went to Jamaica to pick up his, to keep the appointment for his, for permanent residence. But he's married to a citizen. And he left to go to Jamaica to go to the interview without an attorney, without anything, and end up being stuck down there because the 10-year bar hit him.
Yes,
I would not have
it's
known.
unfortunate.
Yeah, I would not have known this if I wasn't speaking with Mr. Tucker. You know, when he could have, and tell me if I'm wrong, he could have asked for relief, don't it? Before going.
Well, yeah, there's a way of getting all of those problems resolved before you leave, if you have to leave.
See?
And what I discover in some instances, if you do a thorough enough search of the persons and their families' immigration history, then it might not be necessary. But even if it is necessary, then you ought to do your due diligence and look to see and put in place everything that will make it difficult for you to get stuck when you leave and try to come back. So do your due diligence. Some things you just don't go out and do by yourself.
You see, very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, and it happens every day. It happens every day. I'm pretty sure there are persons who at the moment are in a removable position or even in detention, and a good attorney would be able to do something to assist in some very serious way and very effective way too. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, yes. A thorough, a fair-minded attorney, because you have attorneys who are good but not fair-minded.
Well, listen to me.
And I say fair-minded. Fair-minded is that their objective might be just to exact as much out of your pocket as possible, whether they can deliver the relief or not.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me just put this on the record. You see, there is one immigration attorney at law that I endorse, that I know personally. There's one that I know of. When I speak about an immigration attorney, there's just one person who should come to your mind. And you're listening to him. Is immigration attorney at law, Mr. Winston Tucker. It's that simple. You see? So let me make it be more. Let me be very, very definitive now. If you know someone or you have someone in detention and you need the assistance, or you should need an assistance of an immigration attorney, give immigration attorney at law, Mr. Winston Tucker a call. It's that simple. It's that simple. give immigration attorney at law, Mr. Winston Tucker, a call. If you have someone in detention, or if you have someone who could get into a situation where you're going to need an attorney, an immigration attorney, then there's just one person to call. Immigration attorney at law, Mr. Winston Tucker. There are a vast amount of reasons why you should call him and not some of the people or the predators into a community talking all kind of something. Talk to someone who speaks your language, who understands, who has empathy. You see? And I guess we probably have to do a wrap. There's now, I'm looking at the clock on the wall. Again, the name, Immigration Attorney at Law, Mr. Winston Tucker. 718-276-8767. Again, 718-276-8767. Or Winston T at AOL.com, you said?
Yes, that's correct.
Winston T at AOL.com. We have a minute that you can take and do a wrap. So, we, before we get out.
Well, yes, the thing is, regardless or whomever it is, as an immigration practitioner that you are consulting, invariably you're going to be spending a significant amount of money. And it varies as it relates to attorneys, but it doesn't hurt to get a second opinion.
True.
Always get a second opinion because you will be able to do a better evaluation.
True.
And at the same time, the fee varies widely, and the mindset, and I repeat, the mindset, which is very important, varies widely. Sometimes those who are in need are treated like they're going to be the last person who is walking through the door of that practitioner.
True.
Meaning that every penny that they have is going to be taken, whether they can afford it or not, whether they can get the benefit or not.
True.
And
True.
all of this goes into making a decision.
True. True. Again, Immigration Attorney at Law, Winston Tucker. 718-276-8767. My brother, we have to leave it there. We'll do this again. I'll call you afterwards as a matter of fact, yes?
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, man. Blessed love. Have a great weekend.
Good. You too.
Thanks. And to you, the audience, thank you so much. And we have just enough time to say we're going to do this again on Monday, God's willing. And we're going to go out with no music. We're going to go out with just chatting. Imagine I've been talking for the past 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours. 7:59 the time, 1 minute before, or a couple of seconds before 8 o'clock rather. Spend some good time with the family this weekend, please, and get a little rest. And so we can pick it up again, God's willing, on Monday. Same time. We start at 5. We end it at 7 on Monday. Okay? And let me thank all the people, the persons in the chat room. Thank you so much. Mrs. Henry. And the rundown is so. Mr. Simmons, Brother Ruler, Garth, my brother, how you doing? Everything is everything. We're going to leave it there, and we'll do this again on Monday, God's willing. Let's see, this was a test run to see no music and see if Facebook is going to have a problem with this one. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. All right? Blessed love.